There's an infection in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Heisman fever is sweeping the Buckeyes. Stephen Means, Nathan Baird, and Doug Lesmerises. Bye week for Ohio State, so about half of Ryan Day's Tuesday news conference was dedicated to Heisman Trophy questions about Chase Young, J.K. Dobbins, and Justin Fields. How do you think Ryan Day handled all that, Stephen Means?
I think he handled it pretty decently. I think he got pretty annoyed at the end of it because it seemed like it was kind of the same question over and over again. When you're dealing with a Heisman candidate and you don't really want to talk about it, he kept talking about how if you ask Chase about it, I guarantee you he's not worried about that. His Twitter says otherwise, but we're not going to focus on that. I think he handled it decently. I mean, you can't. They're not going to hand out the award today, and he kept talking about the fact that like it's all great as long as you're winning. But you lose a game, and all this kind of goes out the window. And I think that's their main focus right now is to continue to win, rather than just individual awards.
So, Nathan, you've been around covering college sports for a while. What would your advice be to Ohio State, whether to the marketing department or to Ryan Day or anybody else? And like, what should they do with this Heisman discussion right now? Ryan Day is going to be asked about it. Should Ohio State do anything more, or do they just let this play out for a couple weeks?
Well, I don't think you can manipulate it too much. I think you have to let it happen somewhat organically, and that sort of is what happened this past weekend with Chase Young. Like some of us had been saying all along, it's really stupid to have an award that goes to the best player that doesn't reward maybe the best player on the best team, and that kind of took care of itself because he went out and just ate a team alive in front of everybody's a national television audience, and now he's getting some juice there. So I think you have to let it just play out on its own to some extent. I think there is such a thing as even overhyping it. You do have to balance that a little bit. I think one thing that somebody brought up though is how this can be used in recruiting. You can go out, and this happens to be an off week, so the coaches are going out across the country to meet with guys, and you can say, listen, we've got 3 guys right now at 3 different positions being talked about in the Heisman picture. You can come here and at almost any position at Ohio State and get yourself potentially on that radar.
The one thing I think Ryan Day made a good point about is like people are sort of like, what do you think of having all these Heisman candidates? And he's like, it's Ohio State. When you're the quarterback at Ohio State, you're a Heisman candidate when you walk in the door. Mm-hmm. J.T. Barrett didn't win it. He was a candidate. He was in the mix. Braxton Miller was in the mix. Terrell Pryor never really got in the mix, but he was always talked about it early in the year. By definition, this is what Ohio State does. And I thought that was the best thing that Ryan Day said about all of this is like, when you come here, you're going to have a chance to be an All-American. You're going to be super famous. You're going to have a chance to be a high NFL draft pick. You're going to have a chance to be in the Heisman conversation if you take care of your business. So, like, duh. Part of this is duh. Now, the one thing he did say is it's duh for J.K. and Justin. It's different for a defensive end, and that's cool. And they are going to back off, I think, a little bit on the Chase stuff. They're not making Chase as far as – the plan was maybe to talk to Chase Young this week on the bye week. I think we're not going to talk to Chase Young, which is fine. Keep everybody grounded. But this is life at Ohio State. And Ryan Day, even in 1 year, understands that. Stephen, Nathan, Doug, there's no game. There's text, though. 14-day free trial. Read our stories at cleveland.com/OSU.